Welcome to Harmonious World. I'm Hilary Robertson, and for this episode, I'm joined by my very special guest, Niv Ashkenazi, virtuoso violinist.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Niv. Oh, it's so nice to see you.
It's nice to see you too.
Uh, How is lockdown for you?
It's interesting. It's been, my wife and I have stayed home and it's been good in terms of just having time to stay at home and work on some other things. But of course, it's hard because she's a musician too, and like all the other musicians out there, it means that we can't really do many concerts, or at least not in front of audiences. So it's been a bit of a reacclimation, but overall we're doing okay and managing to keep busy and improve on our skills, both musical and otherwise.
Yeah, brilliant. So I'm fascinated. I love the Violins of Hope album, and I have to say my favourite track is the theme from Schindler's List. Just a beautiful piece. How did that come about? I mean, I know I've read a little bit about how the project came about, but how did you get involved in the first place?
So I got involved in 2017 in Sarasota, Florida, when they were doing events over there for Violins of Hope. And basically, what happened is, as an alum of the Perlman Music Program, which is run by Itzhak Perlman's wife, Toby Perlman. It's a wonderful program for both for younger students as well as for professional musicians, young professional musicians. So, as an alum, they invited me to come and play on these instruments with a few other people that were in the program. So we went over there for a 2 week program, and it was a very moving experience because we had about 3 performances a day and every day. And two of them were for schools and one for the public. And we were playing on about 10 of the instruments from the Violins of Hope collection. And each time that we would play, Avshi, the son of Amnon Weinstein, who founded the project, he would tell the stories of these instruments. And then he would hand a violin to you, and you needed to play. But you felt a much deeper connection with the owner, the instrument, and all of that. So it was an incredible experience, and I was very honored to be able to participate in that. I had heard of Violins of Hope since the time that they did things in Cleveland. They did major events there, and I knew Amnon from before, but I hadn't been involved yet. So after that, basically, I'd been working with a choreographer from Juilliard on another Holocaust-related event, and we'd been doing that since 2012, and it was also educational. And so he came down actually from New Jersey, and we asked if we could borrow an instrument for our performances in May, which was a few months later. And to our surprise, they said yes. So over Passover in April in 2017, I flew to Israel, spent Passover with my family over there, and then went to the Weinstein's shop in Tel Aviv. And I got to play on about 10 of these instruments,
Wow.
and I ended up picking out the one that you heard on the album.
I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, just I think there's something about the history of the music and the obviously the film and the burp, but also obviously the instrument and the whole project itself that is just so moving. And I think the way you play that piece, especially. I mean, I love all of it, but I think that the Schindler's List theme especially is really beautiful, beautiful piece.
Thank you. And it's a beautiful piece. And funnily enough, I think while we were recording, my pianist, Matthew Graybill, when we were talking afterwards, he had mentioned that that particular recording, the one of Schindler's List, was very memorable for him when
Yeah,
we were recording it. He
yeah.
felt really good about it. And yeah, and the way he plays that opening is just amazing. Yeah, it's a beautiful piece, and it's become so iconic and so um, it just represents this whole subject matter for so many people. So we felt like we had to put it on there one way or another. And because most of the album are composers that were affected by the Holocaust in some
Yeah,
way, and
indeed.
then the rest are iconic works or composers that really changed Jewish music.
Yes, yes. I mean, I think for a lot of people, a film like Schindler's List is a sort of introduction to the subject. Um, and it's such a sort of big, Hollywood production that it's accessible for people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
and I think that's a great way of doing it. And in fact, on my radio show, I've been playing a few of your tracks, throughout for the last couple of months, and I keep coming back to that one. But they are all beautiful. So great
Thank you.
work. Um, yeah, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the instruments you play. So obviously that particular one had a special meaning, but your violins in particular, do you find that as soon as you play it, there's a connection because there's a physicality, isn't there?
There is a physicality, and I think whether it's an instrument from this collection or in general, um, instruments have their own personalities. They really tell you how they want to be played, and then it's a bit of a very kind and gentle negotiation between the instrument and the player to figure out how best to express the music. And no two instruments are the same. And I think in this particular collection, you can really hear that there's they each have such a particular voice. Um, this one happens to be very deep and husky and soulful, but they have other ones that sound completely different. And the instruments also change the more you play on them. So this one, it has grown and changed so much in the 3 years that I've had it, just from being played on more and more and it opening up because the wood is alive. So it expands, it contracts, and the vibrations really change the more you play on it.
Amazing, isn't it? And what do you do about the bow? So do you have your preferred sort of personal bow, and you use that for whichever instrument you use, or do you change it, or how does that work?
Yeah, I have a few bows, but I definitely have one that I use primarily. For basically any musician that's playing for Violins of Hope, you bring your own bow, they
Yeah.
bring the instrument. And this bow, though, the one that I've been using quite a bit, and also the one that's used on the album, is by a maker called Daniel Schmidt. And I had bought this bow a couple of years ago when it came on the market, and actually I bought it from the Weinsteins, or I guess they helped make that happen because I tried it out in their shop. And only later on, a few months later, I found out that Daniel Schmidt was a key player in making Violins of Hope start. He asked Amnon Weinstein to share about the collection that his father, Moshe Weinstein, had begun, which was the Violins of Hope collection, really. But this was before they were restored. They were just in the shop for many, many years, and he had worked in their shop. So he asked Amnon to come to Dresden and speak to a bowmakers convention about these instruments. And Amnon really didn't want to do that. Um, it took a lot of convincing, but he did in the end. And having done that, that began the process for Amnon to be okay with it, accept it, and find a way to work through all the horrors and the trauma of losing over 400 members of their family to the Holocaust through restoring these instruments. So he was kind of the catalyst for this to begin. So I think to me it's very special to be playing on one of his bows on these instruments. I happened to purchase the bow because I love the bow in and of itself, but it just happened to be very fitting for this project in particular.
Yeah, that's amazing. So moving on a little bit, I mean, you've played in some incredible venues. I mean, the Carnegie Hall, the Kennedy Center, all around the world. Obviously, you've talked about Israel. Um, do you have a favorite venue?
Favorite venue? Oh my. That is a good question. I mean, each place is so different and each hall is so different. I mean, I have to say that I couldn't, it wouldn't be right if I didn't mention how special Carnegie Hall's sound is in its main hall. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and it's nothing that you would experience in any other hall. Um, but I have to also say, where we recorded this album, I felt so lucky. It's a hall that's really close by to me, actually, and it's at the Soraya. And it was made by the same acoustician that did Disney Hall, which is our big venue for the LA Philharmonic and things like that. But it's such a gorgeous hall, and it's so wonderful to play in. Um, when we were testing out pianos and we didn't even have any of the sound projectors up, to send it into the hall, you just felt the sound surround you and you're swimming in it. And it was such a wonderful experience and so inspiring to play in.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. Have you played much in London?
I actually haven't played at all in London.
Wow.
I would love to, but I
Oh,
haven't gotten around to it. Yeah, I have a lot of friends that are either from London or live currently in London, but I have yet to even visit, for that matter.
oh, wow. Goodness me. Well, you must come. And when you come, um, a really lovely venue is King's Place, which is a very new
King's Place.
venue, but it's that's beautiful. And if you get a chance to play, I went to several concerts there in the jazz festival a few years ago, and there was one gig in particular where the bass just kind of resonated within me. It was like such a moving experience. So that's one
Oh,
of
I'll
my.
have to go.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, yeah. Um, right now, I read about Dyad. Is it called
Hmm.
Dyad? Your violin and
Yeah.
bass duo with your wife. So,
Yeah, violin and bassoon.
oh, sorry, it's
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny, we met at Juilliard during the last year of our masters, and we wanted to play together just for fun in the park. And it's just in Central Park, it's always fun to play because there's a lot of people walking around, and you just get to play for fun. And we started playing together, and we thought, wow, this is actually better than we expected it because we had zero expectations, given that it's such a weird uh,
Yeah.
ensemble. But yeah, once she moved out here to do her doctorate, we started actually playing as a group, and it's been a wonderful experience. We really believe in this type of ensemble, and we believe in showcasing each instrument equally. I think it's wonderful for audiences to get the surprise of hearing a bassoon and hearing it as a melodic instrument, which it really is, and not just hidden in the back of the orchestra.
Exactly.
And also to hear the violin in a less soloistic way as well as the soloistic way. So we are hoping to grow the repertoire slowly and surely and keep commissioning and arranging and hopefully make this a more viable option for other musicians. And so far, we've actually had quite a few musicians reach out to us for different arrangements and pieces. So it's been nice to see some of that traction starting.
Yeah, because it's very it is a really surprising. I mean, it's surprising visually as well as musically. There's something about the I mean, because the violin is almost vertical and the bassoon is so horizontal. Or is that the other way around? It's actually the other way around. But yeah, they look so strange, but strangeness can be a wonderful thing.
Yeah, and I think both my wife and I, Leah and I, we both are very intrigued by unique instrumentation or unique pieces like that. And so it really fit well for us. And it's always a nice challenge when we're making arrangements to see, how far can we take it? And I think one that I'm quite proud of is that we were able to reduce down Danse Macabre down to two instruments.
Yeah.
So that was exciting, and it's not an easy one, but it's just exciting to see the limitations. Where how far can you push it and still make it sound good? And since you don't have a piano or a chordal instrument, how to show the harmony in a way that
Yeah.
the audience doesn't feel like they're losing anything.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think giving audiences something new that's got a quality about it, is
Exactly.
there's nothing gimmicky about it, but it's surprising. I think that's lovely. That's fantastic. So what next? What are your
What
plans?
next? That is an excellent question. I can tell you that out here in California, we are probably not looking at any live concerts until around the new year.
Yeah.
Most stuff has been canceled at least until December, and that's with the hopes that maybe we can have the holiday season.
Yeah.
But what's next for Violins of Hope is we're crossing our fingers that the LA events will happen in January and February of 2021. And of course, we were hoping to tour with this album right about now. So we will be, figuring that out slowly as to feeling out what we can do and when we can do it. So we're kind of taking it one step at a time. Still doing some educational work with it where we can, and doing virtual work. But we're kind of waiting on the live events until everyone starts to open up, and we can hopefully start traveling again and share this album with as many communities as we can.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me. You've been really interesting. It's been fascinating to talk to you, and I look forward to. I will definitely try, and even if I have to travel, I will definitely try to catch one of the Violins of Hope concerts. But you never know. It might come to London soon.
It might come to you guys. Absolutely.
That would be amazing. So thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Hilary, and thank you so much for, actually letting your listeners hear this album. It means so much to me. Thank
Great,
you.
thank you. That was the third episode of Harmonious World, and I was delighted to be joined by Niv Ashkenazi. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and if you can leave us a review, that would be fantastic too. So I look forward to speaking to you next time with my next guest. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and it's a great delight to bring this series of discussions with musicians and composers and writers and all sorts of people to you. Obviously, there's no point in having a podcast if people aren't listening, and I'm very grateful to my listeners for doing so. Thanks also to Joe English for composing and performing this new theme tune. So wherever you get your podcast, you can leave a review. You can share this with your friends and family, either as a link or on social media and that sort of thing. I'd be really grateful for that. Don't forget that you can subscribe now. There's a link wherever you get your podcasts. So have a great week, and please remember why I started this, which is just to try and make the world a little more harmonious. Thanks for listening to Harmonious World.